I wanted to share tonight why in the world I'm getting on an airplane tomorrow night and going to Israel. Many of you, including my own daughter, Abigail, are worried about my decision to go to Israel. Some of you have said you are crazy to be going. A few of you have actually begged me not to go. And at least one of you told Cheryl, just grab your husband's legs and refuse to allow him to get onto the airplane. And then there's my son Jonah, the realist. Dad, I'm not worried about your safety, he said. How do I say it? Does Israel really need 15 South Florida rabbis now? There's enough going on. They don't need to worry about you and your safety. And he continued, with all due respect, Dad, isn't rabbinic ego driving you guys to go on this trip? I love his bluntness. But tonight I want to share some of what I've shared with many of you when you've expressed your concerns, and I want to expound upon what I've shared about why I am going to Israel. When I told a few folks in Israel who are living it all that I'm coming, the responses have been, I can't wait to hug you. I can't wait to see you before me. Israel can't wait for you to be here. Thank you, Andrew. We need all the support we can get. We need to know that we're not alone. And this from my professor and my mentor who lives in Jerusalem. I am proud to have been your teacher. Now, she's still my teacher, but she won't hear that. Israelis are going through hell. And we have our own issues here with all the anti-Semitism directed at us, and it makes us feel so alone. For Israelis, they're hated by a large portion of the global population, and they have rockets and missiles and God knows what else directed at them, and as we know, too many of the weapons pointed at them are being used on a regular basis. To say that Israelis feel alone is an understatement. I and many others are traveling to Israel because we want to stand with our Israeli brothers and sisters and remind them they are not alone. I'm going to Israel to let our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land know that I'm with them. My family is with them. My Ramat Shalom Beth Israel family is with them. And that so many of us from Broward County and South Florida and the entire United States are with them. I'm going to Israel to stand at the bedside of a handful of the thousands who have been wounded and say a Misha Berach, a prayer of healing for them and their families, and let them know that all of us here are sending them healing energy. I'm going to Israel to sit with families of the hostages and let them know that more than a month into this nightmare, we have not forgotten their loved ones. We have their pictures here at RSBI, and we are calling out on Broward Boulevard, bring them home now. I'm going to Israel to comfort the medical examiners who have seen and continue to see the unthinkable as they identify the remains of more than 1,400 souls. I'm going to Israel to spend some time with the members of the IDF, many of them my own kids' age. who are putting their lives on the line to protect the Jewish state that we're all so worried about. These are our kids, all of our kids, and they're in harm's way. When a soldier falls in Israel, everybody knows about the funeral, and everybody knows about the Shiva, and thousands of people show up. They're not invited, they just show up. These are our kids. But if it was your kid, wouldn't you want other people to show up from far and wide, to spend some time with them, to bring them little goodies, to comfort them? And for the older members of the IDF out there fighting, they're our brothers and our sisters. They are family. And this is what family does. Sadly, I'm going to Israel to visit the graves of too many of our fallen soldiers, real-life Jewish superheroes who gave it all for us. I'm going to Israel to visit members of Kibbutz Kfar Aza, the kibbutz I was on in 2021, the kibbutz that, well, just one of the many that lost so much on October 7th. It was decimated. 40 of their babies were massacred. And that's not including all the other lives lost and destroyed. Their homes were pillaged and burned, and they've lost everything. They're living in hotels like many other people throughout Israel, far away from what was left of their homes. I'm going to Israel to let them know face to face that Jews all over the world care and will help them rebuild. Communities all over Israel are hurting as this war rages on. And so I'm going to Israel to hug and to cry and hold hands with and listen to and support and validate the nightmare that our Israeli brothers and sisters are living. A nightmare that's not being shared widely enough with the world. I'm bringing, thanks to so many of you, lots of gifts for kids, notes handwritten by you, shekels to buy basic necessities, treats for the soldiers, and some other supplies. I'm going to Israel to see some friends, including my professor, who led me to this bima, who led me to the rabbinate. And I'm going to mourn the loss of a teacher who was killed on October 7th. I'm going to Israel because while home is here, home is there. I need to go. My soul needs to be in Israel, to be there, be present, be part of Am Yisrael Chai, the living, breathing Jewish nation that is battered and bruised and bleeding and weeping, but still so much alive. And I want to be part of that alive and play a tiny role in reminding Israelis we are with them, helping to give them strength and move forward. I'm going to Israel because Hamas and other radical Islamic Nazi groups want us to be afraid. They want us wiped out of Israel. I'm going to Israel because Jews are not leaving the land. We're going to the land. And I'm going to be a Jewish presence in our land. I'm not a teenager headed off on amazing summer adventure to Israel. I'm not a tourist going to see Israel for the first time. I'm going on a solidarity mission. I'm going to witness things that aren't pretty, that will be painful and I'm sure frightening. But I'm not afraid. I'm doing what family does. I'm going for the bad times. I've experienced and will continue to experience the joy of Israel. The joy is going to return to the land, but right now it's dark. And I need to be there during the darkness to play a small role in comforting our people and helping to bring back the light. I'm going to Israel to comfort some of our own RSBI families. Several of you have families in Israel. fighting in Israel. And I'm honored to be helping a few of you get much needed supplies and medication to family in Israel using my own suitcase or the suitcase of a colleague traveling with me. Just last night, I managed to secure transportation of a bassinet to Israel for a grandchild of one of our members who, God willing, will be born very soon in Israel. Am Yisrael Chai, proof. I'm going to Israel to pay a Shiva call, if possible, and visit the graves of RSBI family members or friends who have lost their lives defending the country for us. As this war goes on, we are reminded of just how small the Jewish world is and how connected we all are. And we are all in need of comfort. At least 3 of our families lost a soldier this week. 3 of our Ramat, Shalom, Beth Israel families. That's why I'm going to Israel. I'm going to Israel because we have Israel. There's a lot of valid talk about how it feels like the 1930s out there. But what's different is in 2023, we have Israel. We have the IDF. We have a powerful global Jewish community that's fighting for Israel and the Jewish people. And I'm going to Israel to support the core of who and what we are. I'm going to Israel because being a Jew, being part of a family, being married, being a parent, being in a sacred relationship of any sort requires that we show up for the good times and the bad times. Yeah, it would be a whole heck of a lot easier and safer not to go to Israel. It is, as many of you point out, a war zone. Depending upon where you are and what you're doing, it can be dangerous. It can be frightening. But for me, that's not a reason not to go. For me, as I said, family should show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it's really hard, when it's messy, and when it's overwhelming. And that's why I'm going to Israel. I'm going with an organized group that is working with the Israeli government, with the Israeli Defense Force. We have our own security. We're not going anywhere that's deemed dangerous by officials. We, the 15 rabbis that are going, we are being taken care of by our family. Finally, I'm going to Israel because we have been told that it's very important to Israelis that they hug us, not just for their own comfort, but get this, they're extremely worried about American Jews. In the midst of the war, they're worried about us because of the anti-Semitism and threats and violence that are affecting us here. That's family for you. That's what we do. We worry and we love and we do whatever we need to be there with each other, even if that means flying into a war zone. I am beyond grateful that I get to bring your love and your generosity to so many people as I go to Israel. And as you should have seen in your email today, I invite you to join me live every single night that I am there at around 6 p.m. our time. I will be logging in and giving you updates. And I plan on standing here 1 week from tonight with Jonathan as he leads the service, and I will share more with you about my trip. I know I have about 1,000 Jewish mothers, Jewish fathers, Jewish brothers, Jewish sisters, Jewish children, and you're all worried. Just watch after her, and we'll get through this all together. Shabbat Shalom.